Welcome to The Criminologist, the podcast dedicated to educating and entertaining our listeners. We bring you subject matter experts from around the world and share the latest and greatest evidence-based practices and interventions to help individuals desist from a life of crime and delinquency. This podcast avoids stereotypes and biases in favor of the lived experiences of those we can best learn from. Now, please welcome the host of The Criminologist, Joseph Arvidsson.
Hello, and welcome to episode 181 of The Criminologist Podcast. Happy to have you all with us today. I am your host, Joseph Arvidsson, here to share tales from the diverse corridors of criminal justice, corrections, probation, and parole. Now, today's episode might feel a tad different. Think of it as a Mini-Sode, if you will, a concentrated dose of knowledge straight from Barcelona. Having just returned from the third iteration of Professor Ternescu's International Training School on Core Correctional Skills, I want to share some of the highlights of that amazing journey and chapter of my life. Barcelona, as many know, is not just famous for its architectural wonders or its world-class football team, aka their soccer team for you Americans, but also for being a hub of knowledge and innovation. This past week, as I roamed its historic streets and modern avenues, I was reminded of how cities, like people, carry multitudes of stories. And my primary reason to be in the city was to immerse in some of these tales at the aforementioned International Training School on Core Correctional Skills. The ambiance at the training was electric. It was like the United Nations of corrections and probation. There was this palpable exchange of ideas, customs, best practices, and a collaborative spirit of understanding that transcended borders. This event was backed by the invaluable sponsorship and participation of the Confederation of European Probation, or CEP, and Barcelona's renowned Center for Legal Studies. Delving into CEP just a bit more, CEP was founded in 1981. This organization has been at the forefront of enhancing and promoting probation throughout Europe. Its work has been instrumental in setting standards, shaping policies, and forming a collaborative European approach towards corrections. On the other side of this collaboration was Barcelona's Center for Legal Studies, a torchbearer for quality, efficacy, and continuous learning within the justice sector. Their commitment to training professionals and ensuring they're at the pinnacle of their craft was evident throughout the training sessions. I must say that Mark and his team made for wonderful host, made all of the trainers and students feel welcome the entire week we spent at that beautiful training facility in the heart of Barcelona. Now, as to the attendees, what a diverse group of students they were. They included Ray, our prison governor from Ireland. We had representatives from Spain, including the Catalonia region. Also, students from Latvia and Estonia and Croatia. Also, Bulgaria. And who could forget our students from the Netherlands and Portugal. And of course, our first non European student this year, Carolina, who traveled all the way from Chile to attend the school. Now, these students weren't just passive participants. They actively contributed, questioned, discussed, and dissect topics, ensuring the knowledge exchange was a two-way street. And that is one of the things I truly love about this learning experience. It serves almost as a community of practice, a knowledge exchange where not only the students learn, but I can tell you as one of the instructors, I absolutely love this, learning about the different practices and norms of different jurisdictions around the world, all with that common denominator of probation and corrections. And here's an inside scoop for our regular listeners. We've already started conversations to bring some of these bright minds to our podcast, so expect some enthralling interviews in our future episodes. Another highlight for me this year was getting the opportunity to meet this year's keynote speaker, Dr. Faye Taxman. What an enlightening session she delivered. Faye, as many of you I suspect know, is a trailblazer from George Mason University. Her depth of knowledge and her passion for implementation science had all of us hooked this year. She talked about the phenomenon of special conditions becoming so onerous on our clients that it really is an issue that we need to re-examine and explore. Faye did a great job, and I encourage all of you who are not aware yet of her Center for Advancing Correctional Excellence, or ACE, to please check that out. I will leave a link in the episode description for the Center for Advancing Correctional Excellence. You can learn so much more about the great work of Dr. Faye Taxman. And as usual, our godfather, Professor Ion Dernescu from the University of Bucharest, provided his insights. It was like a global tour of correctional practices, always is whenever Ion speaks. From Jordan to Kosovo, his experiences painted a picture of the diverse challenges and solutions in the world of probation. Thank you once again, Professor Dernescu, for the invitation and for hosting another phenomenal training experience for all of the students this year. In my own session, I dove into the nuances of cognitive behavioral interventions. It's always a highlight for me to share my experiences with the students, and this year did not disappoint. Our other instructors this year included returning faculty member Laura Negrado, who joined us all the way from Madrid to talk about her specialty, that of motivational interviewing. We, of course, were rejoined by Ana Escara Roqueta, who talked all about prosocial modeling, a very important topic, and Ana does a great job of illustrating how the topic of prosocial modeling fits into the tapestry of cognitive behavioral therapies. Great job once again this year, Ana. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention this year's other guest speaker, Professor Lidia Arambasic, joining us all the way from Croatia. Her profound understanding of trauma, grief, and the human psyche left an indelible mark on all of the attendees. Last but not least, we of course were rejoined by my dear friend, Juliana Carbonaro, who did an amazing job talking about problem solving. I know what you're thinking. Well, we've heard about problem solving before, Joe, the 5-step version, the 7-step version. Juliana, though, reframes this in a way which truly gives the practitioner an understanding of problem solving in ways that we can not only impart to our clients, but use in our own personal lives. Trust me, I can tell you I utilized her insights and skills when I found myself stranded in the Amsterdam airport attempting to get back to the United States. Problem solving 101. Problem was solved. I got closer to my goal of returning to the United States, albeit taking an extra night in Amsterdam, but it was ironic that I found myself utilizing the very skills I was just trained on. To wrap it all up, this week in Barcelona was not just about learning. It was about growing, understanding, and forming connections. It was about looking at the world of corrections through myriad lenses and understanding that every challenge has not one, but multiple solutions. Next, I am off to Australia. Can't wait to get back and tell you all about my experiences in Sydney. But I want to let you know that next week you will be hearing from another distinguished international guest. We will be talking to Eva Rivers of Multi-Health Systems. She will be joining us all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. I am really looking forward to sharing that conversation with you all. Now, I did mention I will be off to Sydney, Australia in just a few days here. One of the things I'm going to be talking about our colleagues down there is our new innovative TIDES program model. You've heard me talk about it on the show before. We are really starting to roll this out and promote it. TIDES is all about merging trauma-informed approaches with that of desistance. TIDES is a custom-designed program model intended to augment your agency's current evidence-based interventions. Now, we believe an experience of safety is a prerequisite to any kind of change. Many marginalized and justice-impacted individuals have histories of trauma and may be re-traumatized during their contact with justice and social service systems, preventing them from evoking intrinsic motivation, learning, and sustaining long-term change. Addressing this, TIDES focuses on the facilitation of 4 research-informed components designed to foster individual growth and sustainable change. Now, what are these 4 components, or as we refer to them, the pillars of change? They are self-regulation, identity, resilience, and social support. If you are intrigued and want to learn more, please reach out to learn more about our agency training options. It starts with our foundational courses in the change components and builds your theoretical knowledge in these 4 principles or pillars. All training events are facilitated in a trauma-responsive manner and can be delivered virtually or in person. Now, we also provide ongoing support. Explore how to put these theories into practice with our professional coaching and application modules. From line staff to supervisors and administrators, individuals are encouraged to set goals and create plans to put theory into practice in their daily work and personal growth. If you'd like to learn more or are simply curious, reach out for details. And now, a word from our sponsor. Tired of those pesky risk factors? Fed up with those nagging periods of reoffending? Just can't seem to keep on the straight and narrow? Then try Criminiguard. Criminiguard is our patented repellent against criminogenic need. Criminiguard is effective against the risk factors of delinquent past, dysfunctional family relationships, substance misuse, lack of pro-social leisure activities, deficits around education and employment, negative peers, pro-criminal attitude, and a history of antisocial personality pattern. Simply apply Criminal Guard at the onset of delinquent behavior or when actuarial risk assessment warrants application. Criminal Guard works by attacking criminogenic need at the source while buffering against future risk. Inspired by general personality and cognitive social learning theory, Criminal Guard identifies criminogenic need at its source. Then our top secret byproducts mimic prosocial modeling to elicit the onset of prosocial behavior. Once the cost for antisocial behavior outweighs the rewards, users begin seeing reductions in criminal deeds. Criminal Guard is available in regular, mint, or jasmine scent. Find Criminal Guard at all quality vendors, shops, and strip malls. Criminal Guard is not a substitute for proven evidence-based practices. Criminal Guard may cause mild discomfort or skin rash. In case of continued maladaptive behavior, users should subject themselves to proven core correctional practices. Criminal Guard has failed to result in significant effect sizes in recidivism reduction. Buyer beware, not sold in Canada. We will be back next week with a fresh episode. In the meantime, you may contact the show or reach out to us through our website, theparagongroup.llc.com, for training or presentations as to core correctional skills, program design, or, of course, the topic of desistance from crime. If you have questions or comments as to this podcast, feel free to contact the show via our email at thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. That's thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to follow us through our Facebook and Instagram pages at The Criminologist Podcast. New fun images are being added all the time to those feeds. You don't want to miss out. We are also on X, formerly known as Twitter. Give us a follow at Crim Media Group. That's CRIM Media Group. You may also connect with me, Joseph Arvidsson, on LinkedIn, and follow both The Criminologist Podcast and The Paragon Group on our LinkedIn pages. Hey, lastly, if you've not already done so, check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Criminologist, for additional content as to the themes of this podcast. And if you believe in what we're doing on the show, if you're part of the movement, please spread the word, tell a friend or a coworker or a colleague about us. Ask them to subscribe to the podcast, and do so yourself if you've not already done so. And always remember, folks, there's no them, there's only us.
The Criminologist Podcast is a production of the Paragon Group, LLC. For speaking engagements, interviews, program design, or training opportunities, please visit us at theparagongroup.llc.com. If you enjoyed the show, you can find more content and videos on our YouTube channel, The Criminologist. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Both the Criminologist Podcast and the Criminologist channel are brought to you by the Criminologist Media Group. Be sure to give us a 5-star review, and thanks for listening.